Hello everyone! So, since fall is now going, has been for a few days and whatnot, I figured I would do a top 5 lures for fall video. Kind of jump on that bandwagon. But before the video gets started, subscribe to this channel and click that ding-a-ling and make it sing. Oh. Alright, anyway, it's going to kind of be a little bit more than 5, and we'll get into that in a minute, but here we go. So, let's start with top water. Alright, early spring, or early fall, early fall, when that grass is still in your lake, the water, it's starting to get into that fall transition. That's when I really like to fish a frog. Alright, that grass is still on that water, or in the water. It is starting to die off and the wind's blowing it, making clumps up on top of the water. It's so difficult to get things through it. So that's when a frog is awesome, because you can skip it across that water, or across those weeds, and it's completely weedless. Just a good old hollow belly frog. Also, I'm going to give you brands that I like, specifically those lures, and I will obviously put a link in the description to them as well. So, frogs, I've talked about this frog before. I made a whole video on this frog. This frog is amazing. The easiest frog to walk. The coolest walk too. It goes like a full 180 on itself. And it can stay in like one spot. And you just, it's awesome. It's a great frog. This is the Molix Sneaky Frog. Okay? Awesome, awesome frog. The other that I really like is a Terminator. I really don't care too much about colors on topwater. I fish a lot of dark topwaters. You're going to hear me say here for fall fishing, match the hatch. But really, like if it's shad on your lakes, a white frog, great. If it's more bluegill or perch or whatever, black is great as well, for that. Really, in fall, though, this is more when I'm kind of more fishing white topwaters. I don't know why. It just seems to work. But generally speaking, I just black or white. And I really don't think you can go wrong with either. So that's all I do on colors, on topwaters. Seriously. When it gets later in the fall and that grass is gone now, it's very sparse, you don't have those big clumps of grass on top of the water from that grass dying and the wind blowing it and making clumps everywhere, and so you can actually get a bait through them better. That's when you're gonna go with the Wappa Ploppa. You can cover so much water with this thing. That's why I love them too. This is the original, the 130 size. Really any size you're fine with. I really like using the 75s now, pretty much year round. I use the 75s a lot now. I didn't grab any, I don't know why, but really any size, you're good to go. I don't really care for the 110s, and I don't really care for the 90s. The action on that tail is not that great. It's not like the original 130 with that big bloop, 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 big action of that tail, but the 75 is. The 75s actually have a bigger tail than the 90s and the 110s, and also it's like heavier than the 90s and the 110s, so it's easier to cast too. Those 75s are amazing. I'm glad, I was so happy when they came out. Before that, also, I forgot to mention this. In that early fall time, I like to really go more subtle action. Once it gets later in the fall, the water gets cooler. All those fish are up shallow chasing bait, and it's madness up there. That's when the Wappa Plopper comes in handy. Whip that through there. But early fall, when they're more scattered, some of them are still out deeper, some of them are pushing up shallower. Bait fish is kind of scattered around more. They're not so grouped up. Really a subtle action bait, and that's when the frog comes into play, like I said, with the grass. But if there isn't all that grass there, you can't go wrong with the head and spook. This is the Super Spook Junior. A spook, man. They are an old staple. They're a classic for a reason. They're awesome baits. So earlier in fall, I'm going to want to go more subtle with that topwater. So that's when I'm going to pick up this spook and just give it that little subtle action. So that pretty much covers topwater. Also, early spring when there's still grass in the water. A chatterbait. Go figure, right? I'm always talking about the dang chatterbait. I'm always throwing a dang chatterbait. But in the grass, it's great. It is the best grass fishing bait. So when that grass is dying off and but it's still in the water and it's clumping up and all that, a chatterbait. Always fish a chatterbait through that stuff. It's so much better than anything. A chatterbait or a swim jig, really you can't go wrong throwing those through that grass. So, but a chatterbait, people don't really think of it as much of a fall lure. They kind of think of it as spring and whatever. I fish the dang thing year round, so you know, I'm just saying. And I catch them year round on it. I've had my best bags in the fall on a chatterbait. Chatterbait, same thing. Match the hatch. If it's more shad in that lake, I want a shiny blade on it, and a white works great. A white chatterbait works great. If it's more bluegill, perch, whatever, green pumpkin works great. You can also throw a green pumpkin if it's a shad lake as well. But I really think that the fish are really focused on bait at this time, okay? They're really zoned in on that specific bait, and you know, the closer you can get to looking like that bait, obviously the better it's going to be. So if the water is not grassy, you don't have grass in your lake, or it's died off, it's later in the fall, good old spinnerbait, guys. Spinnerbait is great. It's great in the fall because it imitates a school of bait fish. You know, these look like bait fish going along. This looks like a school of bait fish. It's great in the fall time. It is really like the biggest staple for fall fishing, to be honest. People always talk about throwing a spinnerbait in the fall. So anyway, throw a spinnerbait. This is a Strike King so-and-so, I don't remember, half ounce. This is chartreuse. Chartreuse and white, just straight up white for shad lakes. Seriously, just match that hatch with silver blades. That just imitates shad so well. I really like chartreuse in my spinnerbaits. It's just a confidence sort of thing. But yeah, the other one that I like to fish, and you might think, what, black? That's kind of weird. A black spinnerbait, if it's more bluegill in the water. I don't know why it works, but it has worked forever for me. It really has. This is also a half ounce. This is a Booyah. It is like their nighttime spinnerbait. It's got a rattle in it. It's got a single big Colorado blade on it, and I don't know why. Just if it's bluegill, this black one just seems to work. Darker colors, really. If it's like a bluegill or perch lake, you can get bluegill colored spinnerbaits, whatever. I'm just saying the black seems to work really good for me. I also will throw a bluegill one. I have some of those, but these are my two favorites. This is a Booyah with that single Colorado blade. Colorado blade's great in dirty water. I fish them in clean water too, but they're awesome in dirty water because it gets more thump, more vibration. It really just... And then obviously these are better for like clear water because this is giving off more flash, and not really a big thump, not much sound to them, or water displacement. So yeah, more clear water, you know. But really, if it's dirty water, if that water is dirty, in fall the water starts clearing up pretty good. I'm sure you guys know that. The circulation of that water, when it turns over, it makes that water pretty clear. So we're going to talk about a square bill. square bill can be great in the fall. It can be great year round, let's be honest, but great in the fall. Bass pushing up shallow with those bait fish, chasing those bait fish up there. This is a 6 cents. This is a chartreuse color. I don't know why I grabbed it, but really I like throwing chartreuse color crankbaits a lot. It's really like a confidence go-to color in a crankbait, especially square bills. But same thing, match that hatch. Bluegill colors, great. 6 cents has beautiful bluegill colors, but whatever square bill, your bluegill colors, if it's bluegill or a perch color, if it's perch, or just go a white sort of shaddy color, maybe a sexy shad or a lavender shad or just something sort of like that, or just a white shad imitator. But it's kind of whatever you like, really. But yeah, bass up shallow with those fish, chasing those fish. You run this sucker by them, boom, good. Square bill's great around rocks, obviously. Bounce right off rocks. They're great around lay down trees. Obviously, they bounce right off those. You know, things like that, those heavy cover areas. That's where I'm going to use this. Not so much the grass, obviously, because, you know, treble hooks and grass aren't that much fun. I didn't build baits in grass, aren't that much fun. You'll be picking grass off all the time. But if it's more sparse, then you can get away with it. Throw it around those clumps of grass, all that stuff. But more target casting with this square bill in the fall. Lay down trees, whatever, stick-ups, lone rocks or boulders down there. You know, those areas are around a rock dam. Okay? Square bill. Great, great, great. Now, the last thing that people don't really think about, and this is my one go-to finesse tactic for fall, and that is a stick bait. This is obviously the Redbeard Bass and Baits stick bait, the best stick bait ever made. Talk about it so much. Also free shipping right now, so go buy some, get yourself free shipping, get yourself some awesome baits, and all the baits come with an awesome sticker too. But a stick bait, all right, weightless Texas rig. Those fish are, you know, those bait fish are smaller, you know, so you can actually downsize this, maybe even just throw like a 3-inch stick bait. Works great, you know, if they're little 3-inch bait fish to 6-inch bait fish, whatever they are. Just match that hatch again, but they're surfacing, they're all clumped up, bass are usually sitting under them, whatever. You plop this into all those bait fish and let it slowly linger down to those bass, and boom, you can catch some giants on a stick bait in the fall. It might not be the most fun technique, but you know, finesse, slow moving, all that, but it can really, really work. You find those clumps of bait fish, especially, you know, deeper sort of water, where they haven't quite moved up yet, whatever, and you throw this sucker through those bait fish and let it fall through them. Bass are usually sitting underneath them. They're going to eat it. It's going to fall right down to them. It's going to look like a dying bait fish. Okay, so same thing, match the hatch, or you can't go wrong with the green pumpkin-ish color. This is my Colorado Magic color that I make. I love this color. It's a phenomenal color that I make, but really green pumpkin's fine. You might want to go a white or maybe a white belly. I didn't grab any of those either, sorry. But maybe a white belly with like a green pumpkin top or black top, sort of stick bait. You know, that color maybe if it's shad. You know, white belly might look really good, but really green pumpkin is fine as well. So anyway, that's it. I know I kind of zoomed through it. I was trying to make this not crazy long. I will get into tips next week probably. I'll make a video, fall fishing tips. Fall is my favorite time. I've caught my PB, which is a 9.5 pounder, in the fall. I've had bags where I've caught like 25 plus pound bags in the fall, in ponds even. It's a great time to fish, and also a lot of fishermen are also hunters, so there's less people on the lake. you know, not many people fishing, you can get out there and kind of have the lake a little bit to yourself, and you find those fish. And once you find a school of them, you can catch a bunch of them. And also, fall is more junk fishing. I have all these baits tied on every time I go, and plenty more in the tackle box, because fall fishing, you can catch some on a topwater, you can catch some on a stick bait, you can catch some on a square bill. It's never really like you find one pattern and you can run that the whole lake or whatever, or you know, you're just going to catch one or two here with the bait, whatever. So next week I will go all through tips, and yeah, we'll get in depth on that. I just wanted to show the baits right now. I'll put all the links below. Go and get yourself these baits from wherever, Bass Pro Shops, Tackle Warehouse, whatever, and buy them and get out there. That's it, and I'll see you guys on the next one.